ask you this before because we're going to run along on time. I won't get through all my stuff. I got to transition you into comic art. So
Okay.
growing into the industry and through it, and coming in it, coming out, doing all that. Comic art always seemed hard to get to. It seemed difficult to get to. It seemed there was expensive things like that. How did you get into that element of it? How did you transition into that?
The very first time I ever got a piece of comic art was I wrote a letter in to Valiant Comics. This is the Valiant of the '90s, back
Yes.
back in the heyday when they were like the mid '90s, and it was to Bloodshot. And this is right after they did their was it the Valiant Birthquake, where they brought in a whole bunch of big name talent to start working on the books to generate interest.
There was a lot of good
And
stuff in
they
that
had
too.
Norm Brayfogle was the one who was drawing Bloodshot at the time, and so I wrote in about it, and him and artist Sean Chen would pinch hit. They would go back and forth.
Okay.
Norm would do a couple issues, then Sean would do a couple issues, and they would go back and forth to keep the schedule. And I remember I got a letter printed in issue 33 of Bloodshot, and in the mail shortly after that letter got printed, I got an original pencil drawing of Bloodshot by Sean Chen,
Hmm.
and that was the first one. And then the next time was about a year later. I was working at a collectible shop, and this guy went to a convention. It was a small show. It was like a 1 day event. It wasn't like a huge big deal, just a small
Mhm.
one. And artist Pop Mon was there, and I saw for the first time stacks of art on tables. I'm like, what is all this? And it's like, wow. And so I said, yeah, I'll buy this piece. And I bought a piece from. It was just a close up shot of the head of was it Spartan from Wildcats,
Okay.
and it's almost like he's got his hand raised like this, and there's energy crackling. And on this side, his face is normal on this side, and on this side, you can see like the robotic stuff, like it's been ripped apart and stuff. Yeah, I think it was a pinup in one of the issues or something. And I bought that, and that's where it started. And then as time has gone on, I just got more and more into it because I started seeing that unlike the comics where the values fluctuate a whole lot more depending on like the hot like a book could be hot right now, and then 6 months from now suddenly now it's not worth anything,
Right.
because the heat's off, and the whole value retention did was a lot more fluctuating in comics. It didn't do that in comic art, and so I got more and more into art. And I started buying stuff off eBay, buying stuff at shows, and just and then I just eventually started talking to people. And so in 2005, I was working at a comic shop, and I got let go. It happens. You get
Sure.
laid off. Things happen. And I started working. Took about 6 months, and I started working at the local Goodwill. And let's just say that was not a good fit for me. it just it just didn't. I was there about 3.5 months, and I was gone. And all that time, I'm looking. I'm still doing the comic thing. I'm reading comics. I'm still trying to get comic art, and I'm reading message forums and stuff. And on these forums, I kept seeing people complaining about stuff from dealers and reps, like how they gouge in the shipping, or they overcharge you on the price by fair market value 3-4 times as much. They lie about what the art is. You'll ask them, say, hey, is there any stat work on this piece? And they'll say no, and then they get it to you, and you find, oh wait, there's a stat pen on here, and they're like, oh yeah, but there's original art underneath. It's okay. Never mind, that isn't what you asked for. They take forever to ship. They take forever to get back
Mhm.
on emails. And I'm looking at all this. I'm like, all my years working retail, this is like retail 101 stuff. I can do this. I can do better than that. Good Lord, how could you wait like days to get back to somebody on an email? Why are you
Right.
overcharging them and shipping? What's wrong with you? And so I got into it, and I asked the wife. I said, would you be okay if I tried to get involved in this? And she said, go for it. To her credit, my wife, I'm a very fortunate man. She's a very understanding woman. I actually met her through comics. That's a whole story in and of itself right there. But
Okay.
she said do it. And at first I started with my own art, but I quickly learned that when you're trying to sell your own work, if you're not getting super high dollar values on them, it's going to be kind of hard to replenish your stock.
Mm.
And then I fell into art repping, and the first person that I did it with is artist Richard Moore, who people, if you ever heard of him, you probably know him from his works, independent creations, Far West and Boneyard are probably his two most
Boneyard.
well-known
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
And I started selling art for him, and then over time I would just start talking to artists on Facebook or social media. Hey, you're looking for an art rep? You're looking to sell some of your art? And over the time, I've had people come and people go, and I got the guys I'm working with now. But it's just that's how it all happened. It's just because I was just looking at what people were complaining about in the hobby itself, and how it was being done by the people who were the big leaguers. And I just thought I could do better than that, and that's what I've done. Now I've not been super huge in sales, and what I get is a very very small amount of money. I mean, if you knew how small it was, people would probably look at me and say, "Why do you even bother doing it?" It's like, well, it's not about the money for me. It's about giving back. I mean, comics have given me so much. Years of entertainment. You said I was on the stream with Aaron just last weekend, and I showed many of the letters I got printed. So they gave me a voice in the comics. I found my wife through comics. Everything. Comics has given me so much, and so I wanted to pass that on. And I figured, what better way than to help some artists who maybe sometimes might need the money themselves sell some of their work so that they can reap the benefits of it, rather than like having them dump it at a con to some guy who's then going to take it and sell it for 5, 6, 7 times what he paid for it. And so I'd like, let the artists get the money because they deserve it, because they're the ones who made all this possible. And so it's just my way of kind of giving back a little something to the industry that's given me so much. Even though, like I said, in current times, it's not been quite so nice to me and others, but I don't hold that against the guys who I work with. Who I can tell you, none of them are going to call you a bigot or a Nazi because you don't agree with them on a political issue. They
Well,
don't.
let's run through the slide a little bit. Look at navigate here. This is your sequential treasures page, and then
Yeah.
we have links there in the description on the video and stuff. And great stuff. I mean, this is a beautiful GI Joe page, page 11
Yes.
and number 18. Beautiful stuff, and that's amazing. And
I remember when Mike Vosberg sent me that, he told me in the email, because he let me know, all my artists usually give me a nod up when they're going to send me some stuff, and he's like, I'm sending you some stuff, including a piece that he called Buried Treasure. And when I got it, I saw that page, I'm like, oh, I know exactly which one is the buried treasure.
Yeah, in this Iron Man, I mean, there's a thing I don't understand, and I know this is where the comic book diehards don't quite get it, because like you were saying about the covers, I have this affinity for covers, and I think there is a normie element to covers, especially with the sports card collectors that have kind of come in with comic books a little bit, because it makes a great decoration. This Iron
Yeah.
Man annual 99 page 3 with Iron Man flying at you is a deal at 1,200. That should be way more than that. That should be a poster in somebody's office or wall show. That's a beautiful piece, and
Well,
it's
that's
mostly
something
because
I've always used that when I've done stuff like when I'm promoting and everything, like
yeah,
especially during the
yeah,
holidays. I tell people like comic art is a great gift. It's unique. It's one of a kind, and
yeah,
it's something that you can enjoy the whole year through. It's something you can hang on your wall, and it's an instant conversation starter. If you had that piece and you had to hang and say on the wall in your living room or something, you had some friends over, they're going to see that like, oh, what's this? Like, oh, that's my original page of comic art from Iron Man. And here and
yeah.
then there it is, instant conversation starter.
Beautiful. And this everybody knows, even if you haven't read it or you don't know about the new stuff or whatever, it really doesn't matter. Jughead and RG pages, and some of this stuff is so dirt cheap. You're talking about $50, $60. It's such cool stuff.
Well, and,
And
and
you
that's the more modern stuff, and
yeah, yeah.
that's a little more expensive than the classic, what we call classic Archie, like the
Sure.
classic stuff we all know, because that has more crossover appeal. Like the Jughead stuff you saw was Jughead the Hunger, and that's
Yep.
Jughead as a werewolf. So you don't have just fans of Archie who will like it, but horror fans could like that, or
Yeah.
people who like the CW Riverdale
Yeah.
show
Yeah,
might
there's
like
such
that stuff
massive
because it
crossover.
plays up to that whole thing. So you got a bigger cross. But like I have pages from classic Archie stuff. They're like $20, $20 for a single page of art. I mean,
And
and
there
that's
are
the thing
links.
too is my artist and I we don't look to gouge. We're not looking to soak you for every single dime we can get out of you. And we want a fair price. We want to get some nice money for them, but we don't have to like soak you for every single dime the way some of these guys in the business try to do. Which
And
if they can do it, all more power to you guys. If you can get people to pay all those crazy prices, good on you. But I'd rather be the guy who's known as being a fair guy because that's just how I am. I'm not someone who's looking to get over on people. I'm just someone who wants to, put some good art in some hands of people who love it,
and
and
some of
and help
the
out the artists at the same time.
And some of the links take you to an eBay auction. This is one. It's Walt Simonson. I think it's original Thor art that was done through a Hero Initiative. It's on eBay. It's currently active. So you're going to get stuff that's in real time from his site. It's imperative that if you're remotely interested in certain characters, certain artists, things like that, is to connect with James's site. We have the link there for you. It's called Sequential Treasures, and
And if you look
it,
right there
it
on the left-hand side there, you can see I have everything divvied up into rooms. So
yeah,
if you're looking for a specific character or something, maybe or
yep.
a specific company, I got
Sketch
a room for it.
covers. There's sections for everything. Look how beautiful this. Look at this. Look at this Scarlet Witch sketch cover for $75. Dan Lawless. Let me tell you what, folks. If you try to get some of these sketches done, even through shows or different registry events, you're going to pay hundreds of dollars sometimes. I think the cheapest you usually can get might be in the $70 to $90 range, but then you're shipping it away. You don't know when you're going to get it back. You don't look at this. It's already done. You can decide if that's what you want or not for $75. Look how beautiful that is. The colors pop and all that. If you were into all this stuff, Scarlet Witch, and look at this cool. You mentioned Valiant. This is one of their classic characters, Solar, the Man of the Atom, which seems like a great investment because look at the colors and how beautiful that piece is. So this
Well,
is
even even in the black and whites, they're very nice. Like that
oh
X Men
sure,
one right
sure,
there
sure.
with Storm. I love the humor in that image. You know, Storm is
Yeah,
looking sexy, but the guy's watching her, and so she throws a rain cloud over his head, saying he needs to cool off.
yeah,
I mean,
right
just it's
there.
hilarious.
A little shower for you. So great site, great stuff to pick from. One of the things that I think you're going to get from someone like James, years of experience and passion is behind it.